Happy Dragon Ball Sparking Zero week. Due to the putting priorities like food, water, shelter in my life, I will not be buying Sparking Zero first day.
I've got to know.
I don't have any money.
But I will be giving my petty complaints because as much as this game has everything that I ever wanted in a Tenkaichi successor with things like online play, customizable accessories, customizable move lists, and introducing super characters into the mix, this is not the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate experience. Why do you ask? Because not everyone is here. Over 20 characters are missing from Tenkaichi 3 that are not in Sparking Zero, and we're going to talk about them and speculate why they were likely cut out, and I will give a percentage chance of them likely returning based on my own opinions. I'd love everyone to bring their opinions down in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. Let's get Dragon Ballin'. I'm sorry, but the Dragon Ball characters got the short end of the power pole stick. Besides Kid Goku and Master Roshi, it's clear that most of the DB characters from the past games were sidelined in favor of Dragon Ball Super characters. I don't blame them, but it's a shame that some of these important characters that have remained prominent in the DBC or GT anime were just left out. And considering the level of customization in fights, recreating Dragon Ball scenarios feels a bit limited right now. So starting with Android 8, we already have a good amount of Android-type characters in the roster, so no complaints, but the unique abilities that Android 8 has as a heavy-type character tells me that 8 will be more memorable enough to come back as potential DLC. I'd give him like an 80% chance at this point. Arali is from Dr. Slump, one of Toriyama's other popular manga and anime series, and she is definitely no stranger when it comes to crossing over in the Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Super anime. Considering the passing of Toriyama, it would have been nice to have her on the base roster as an honor of that work that Toriyama had outside of the Dragon Ball universe. But knowing the greedy opportunities of game developers, I would say she has a 100% chance of coming back as DLC. There's just too much fun to be had with her moveset, and besides Chaozu and the kid characters, it would be fun to have another little person with a lot of power in each hit. So speaking of little people with power in each hit, Chi-Chi in their early Dragon Ball days was a fun character to play once as a gag, and if anything was sort of an extra throw-in. I think I would rather have a fully grown Chi-Chi towards the tail end of Dragon Ball, but I guess that would take away her Ki Blast and supers with that helmet that made her unique in the first place. It would be fun to have her as both a young adult and child Chi-Chi, but my thoughts would be she's like 50% chance of even making it back. I'm convinced that Demon King Piccolo is not coming back as their own character. If anything, a few cosmetic accessories to regular Piccolo, maybe make the option of the Demon King outfit, would be a more likely scenario. It's kind of lame that Lord Slug got in before Demon King did, and considering his unique moveset and building off of similar Namekian models like Piccolo and Nail, I don't know what would be an easier choice for the game itself. So let's chalk it up to a 50% chance for the return of the King. Devilman, on the other hand, is the definition of a gimmick character. His ultimate, the Devil Might Beam, does more damage the more evil your character is. I'm not saying that would be a hard move to program, but imagine the additional 20 or 30 characters they are adding to the game that have to react to different attacks. I'm sure that would be a bit of a hassle depending on the character's evilness. He does serve his importance during the Fortune Teller Baba Saga to basically tell us that Goku may like to fight, but he's pure of heart and shit. I know he's probably a fan favorite, but there are more characters that deserve the slot, so let's chalk it up to a 75% chance of making it in. General Blue was one of the first antagonists that Goku had to face in Dragon Ball and would expand the roster of human characters, especially since he has the psychokinesis gimmick and more of a soldier brawling style that would make him fun to play with. I think if Kid Goku could ride Nimbus all over a place, a simple poof of a smoke to get Blue in his flying car would be a new way to Dragon Rush with this guy. I'd say package him in a Red Ribbon Army DLC, he'd have an 80% chance of returning, in my opinion. Tao is probably the realest threat that Kid Goku ever faced in Dragon Ball, pretty much almost killing him during the first encounter. He's ruthless, got that memorable drip, and is connected to Tien and Chaozu under the Crane School. Can you imagine this guy Dragon Rush by throwing a pole and riding it? Come on, it can't just be me. Meanwhile, Cyborg Tao came back to solidify Tien's arc in Dragon Ball and still had memorable appearances in the DBZ anime. The fact that he is not in the starting roster sucks, and I can't be the only one to say that. 100% chance, mark my words. Grandpa Gohan. Again, I'm just shocked he is not in the game alongside Kid Goku and Master Roshi. Literally a crucial part of the beginning of the Dragon Ball story before getting killed, and even then came back in the Fortune Teller Baba Saga to fight Goku, which was then referenced in the Super anime. Come on! So yeah, if you're going to bring back Devilman, the meme, make sure Grandpa Gohan is there with him. 100% chance, no way he's not. Nam was a memorable Dragon Ball tournament contestant and has had some anime appearances past the OG, but I mean, besides almost winning against Goku, there are a dozen of other tournament contestants that didn't make the cut on BT3, so taking out Nam was easier to decide along with the rest of the extended Dragon Ball cast. Nam is cool, but even with a Dragon Ball DLC, potentially, there are more tournament contestants added into the roster. Possibly. So maybe he's got a 20% chance of making it. Again, sorry, Nam fans. I think Demon King Piccolo has a better chance of getting in Sparking Zero than Tambourine would ever have. Sure, he's the henchman that kills Krillin and is eventually defeated by Goku. There's not a lot of justification for his existence. I could see him being an additional move that Demon King Piccolo uses, like similar to Drum, but why waste a slot on a henchman? Oh wait, Frieza Soldier exists. I'd take Tambourine before Frieza Soldier, but he's got maybe a 40% chance of coming back. Now, Pilaf was once a main Dragon Ball antagonist, and the fact that him and his whole gang are still relevant in Dragon Ball Super, even Dragon Ball GT to a degree, he didn't make the cut in Sparking Zero. Pilaf Machine and his combined machine with Shu and Ma would make for some entertaining robot fights with Dr. Wheelo, the only robot fighter, and again, his mark in Dragon Ball history would make him a top slot in possible DLC, so I'll give him an 80% chance of coming back. It was honestly nice to see most of the Dragon Ball filler movies be represented, but at the same time, if you're going to bring these favorites back, maybe go all out. Sure, there are a few missing from the non-canon films that either make sense or don't. Let's start with Fasha. Way back in the early days of the internet, there was so many crazy theories that Fasha, a member of Bardock's team, was Goku's mother. Obviously, this was never the case, and Super has made it clear that Goku's mom was in fact Jin, but it was really cool having a female Saiyan, and her moveset was very memorable, which tells me that we really should have more female characters added to the roster that are not these characters. Come on, we could do better. I don't know how she would be sold as DLC, but if there's ever a Saiyan DLC that adds some of the lesser-known Saiyans like Bardock's team and some additional Saiyan accessories, I would expect Fasha to be part of that. Still, she unfortunately doesn't have enough prominence for Bandai to be like, oh yeah, she's like year 1 or year 2 DLC that people would buy, so probably a 20% chance of making the return. But why wasn't Base Form Garlic Jr. in the base roster? We have Muscle Garlic Jr., but not base form. This is still baffling to me. I mean, we got Meta Cooler, for God's sakes. And this would have added another small character that isn't Chaozu, Goten, Kid Trunks, and Babidi. Also, we have Babidi, a small character who doesn't fight, but was made a fighter. Correct this mistake. But if they didn't add him now, I don't see why they would bother adding him now. So probably a 5% chance of coming back, but prove me wrong, Bandai. Now, Pikkon is a fan favorite that started out in the Tournament of the Heavens arc and the DBZ anime filler arc, and then made another appearance in the Fusion Reborn movie where he helped stall against Janemba. Despite his non-canon history in the series, the fact that he wasn't part of that movie character reveal trailer in Sparking Zero kinda stung, and I hope Pikkon makes his move as DLC because he has enough moves and memorability in the Dragon Ball history that would make him good DLC. I'd say he's got an 80% chance of coming back. Now, Salza always stuck out to me because he was the only memorable Cooler Armored Squadron member that had the most screen time in the Cooler movie. He used an energy sword, he had a memorable fight with Piccolo, and he's French. I think the argument would be how many henchmen from these non-canon movies should be worthy enough to have a slot. I would say Salza deserves this for his uniqueness alone, but maybe a 10% chance of coming back. Okay, Zangia. Probably the same argument with Salza, definitely a 10%, because at this point, why bother if Bojack is enough? We got most of the Dragon Ball Z characters from BT3, but the ones missing range from probably not needed to why. So starting with probably not needed, Apul. Yeah, he can easily be a Frieza Soldier skin or something to that degree. I would not pay for Apul, that's for sure. 0% chance of coming back as DLC though. Why Videl, one of the only female Dragon Ball fighters, doesn't have her Great Saiyan Man form is baffling. They literally had a team attack with two of them. 100% should be coming back or we riot. Meanwhile, Supreme Kai and Kibito Kabai should have been available and does have his model in the game. 100% coming back or we mildly riot. And now, King Vegeta. We have almost every Saiyan except for the King. It just blows my mind, but something tells me that means they're saving him for something truly special. So 100% expecting him to come back. Okay, so in Budokai Tenkaichi 3, we were introduced to a day and night system on some stages, which would allow Saiyans with tails to transform into their Grade 8 forms. This includes Saiyans who we've never seen transform in the anime or manga. Nappa, Raditz, Bardock, King Vegeta, Fasha. Sparking Zero only has the canon Grade Apes of Baby Vegeta and Scouter Vegeta. This kind of sucks because if you're going to have all of these giant characters for kaiju battles, why limit them in the roster? Maybe it's a balance thing, probably not, but the fact that I can't have fights between a few Great Ape Saiyans is really strange, and just not having a regular Great Ape to act as a Kid Gohan and Kid Goku transformation really takes away some interesting scenarios for characters. But like King Vegeta, my only assumption is that they will come back in a package. But I'm less optimistic considering how they were all just cut off this easily. I'd say 50% of coming back. Okay, we are now down to 2 missing characters from the GT series, and I may not be the biggest fan of GT. The last arc was the only thing that hit emotionally for me. The fact we didn't get all of the GT characters from BT3 is a huge shame. Starting with Nova Shenron, who could change colors to Ice Sand Shenron, sucks because Nova did have an integral part of the Shadow Dragon arc and had enough unique attributes that would have been beautiful to see in Next Gen. I think he has enough fan popularity to hopefully come back, but probably not as much as the next character we're going to talk about, so let's chalk him down to an 80% chance of coming back. So Super 17 was disappointingly not in the GT character reveal, which was weird because there aren't that many arcs in GT. So the fact that Super 17, and mind you, we have 2 Android 17 characters in the slots already. This was just a bizarre cut. I could see him coming 100%. Let's just get him in soon. Alright, that's all the characters from BT3 that are not in Sparking Zero. Who do you want to come back? Who shouldn't come back? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Super Media Runners.